think we'll go live. I think I'll do just like that. There we go. All right, let's see here. There we go. Set it up like that. Make sure I got everything set like that. Move this. Move myself over a little bit so I can get comfortable. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Here we go. Let's see. Push this back just a bit. Push it back a bit more. There we go. So now I'm comfortable. And I'm excited. All right, cool. We got a few minutes. And let's see here. Yeah, about 4 or 5 minutes.
Good luck.
Thank you. Love you. Got about 4 or 5 minutes. I think I'll go ahead and let me set this up, close this door, and then see who shows up. There we go. There we go. Sure, I got all my notes here. I'm excited about this one. All right, we're going to hang out a little bit, see who comes in and who joins. Looking forward to this. It's going to be exciting. This is a good one here. Need some water, actually. Oh, let me go grab myself some water real quick. Oi. Button, please. Since game to start day. What? What? Oh. Du får se lite. Tack älskling. Thank you. All right, let's see. Is anybody here? All right, here we go. See what we got here. Daniel Trugan, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Had to get me some water so I can keep my voice going. What's up, bro? I'm going to wait just a couple more minutes and see if I can get a few more people in, and then I'll go ahead and get started. Hur går det med Daniel Trugan då? Är det bra med dig? Snackar du någon med Erik någonting, va? Det var ett tag sedan jag pratade med honom. Ja, det var det. Det var förra månaden, tror jag. Skickade meddelande till honom. Jag vet inte, men tydligen går det bra för honom. Han håller på med sin vad heter det? Sin poker och såna grejer. Så trying to get comfortable here. There we go. Okay, and then we have Moore. If I say your name right, Moore. I hope that's the right way to pronounce your name. If I mispronounce your name, forgive me. You know, I don't mean to be rude, but if I mispronounce your name, please forgive me. But it's M-O-U-R, right? So Moore. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is, what time is it? Yeah, we got 1 minute. I'm early. Okay, cool. So I'll give it a few more minutes. 6:59. So I'll give it till, 7:02 maybe, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Feel free to comment below. I don't know how to see if I can. I think you have to do this. So, and then like that. Yeah, I guess that's how it works. I don't know. I've never been good at the comment thing. It's always been something strange. So, let's see what we got here. Hope you guys are doing well and taking care of yourselves. Hope you guys are doing all right. It's been a beautiful day today. Today has been a good, productive day. It's been very productive, actually. I've been able to do a lot of work, get a lot of work done with the company, and go outside, get some sun. Those of you, I don't know, I know Daniel, you live up in the northern, in Petehill. I don't know what the weather's like up there, but here it's pretty cool down here in Stockholm. I mean, the wind is blowing, but it's not cold. So, let's see what's going on here. Yeah, there we go. So, and then I'll fix that, make sure that's right. 7:01. You know what? I'm not going to wait. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Level Up Group. Welcome to Thursday's Mindset webinar. I appreciate you guys coming and checking it out. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do. In fact, this one I think is going to be a pretty good one. Trying to get this cord so I can. There we go. This is going to be a pretty good one. I'm pretty excited about this. I always get excited about my webinars. Every Thursday I do them, 7 p.m. Stockholm time on Facebook Live, and I enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. So, don't really have any, what would you call it? Information or pre-info to give you guys. Those of you that are interested later on, if you have a question about how to get in touch with me or anything else like that, as it goes on, if more people come in, then I'll go ahead and do the sales pitch at the end of it. So pretty much we're ready to go ahead and get started. So today's webinar is, see, I got my computer here. Everything is working like it's supposed to. Today's webinar I'm really excited about is called Letting Go. Releasing what holds you back from becoming the best version of yourself. Okay? Letting go. This is, so when I do my webinars, I try to come up with topics and things that are sort of relevant to today. Things that, may be affecting people on a daily basis in today's society. The way we live now versus the way we lived 10 years ago, or even 15 years ago, 12 years ago, even 5 years ago. The world is constantly changing, and there's a lot of goofy shit going on out here in the world we live in. It is what it is, right? So because of all of that, it affects us in ways that we may not even notice or even want to admit, right? And so what I like to do as a personal development coach who works with people's mindset as it pertains to how they feel about themselves, very specific, I want to work on your psyche. I want to build up your confidence. I want to build up how you feel and how you learn or how you love yourself the way you're supposed to. I want to build that up and get that in your mind and get you to understand the importance of your self-worth, irregardless of what your goals are, right? Because you can reach the goal, but if you reach the goal and you haven't really worked on yourself, you haven't really gotten, at one with who you are and what you're about, there's going to be something missing. You're going to be unfulfilled. And you're going to be chasing a bunch of other stuff that's not necessary because you be wrapped up in, what's going on in society, social media, blah, 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 blah. Does that make sense? And also, too, when you work on your goal or when you have a goal, whatever it is, once you work on yourself, your self-worth, and you're like, I love myself more, I love myself the most, I know who I am, I know what I am, then those goals that you have, they will align with your core values of who you are. So what does that mean? Those goals may change. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying to you? So that's what I try to do in my coaching, is really get people to focus not so much on the goal, because we can work on the goal all day long. More money, relationship, moving, whatever. We can do that all day long. but I want you to be comfortable and confident and have enough love for yourself so that when you're actually going after that goal, you're going after it from a different position. You're going after it from a different space, right? You're thinking of yourself, not being selfish, but you're thinking of yourself before you start thinking about the goal, if that makes any sense. And this letting go thing is definitely something that I think is relevant in the world we live in today, especially with, like I said, with all the goofy stuff that's going on and craziness. A lot of people, and I know myself personally. I speak on myself personally. Okay. John Carling. Hey, John, welcome. Welcome to the webinar. Thank you for joining. So I know myself. I've had a lot of, issues or situations or problems or whatever you want to call it, with letting go of certain things in my childhood, in my upbringing, in the environment that I grew up in, school, religion, relationships, work, you name it, right? Life. So I can only, and one thing I do want to point out here to people, and those of you that know me, I mean, Daniel, you know me, Karina, you know me, but for the others that don't know me, what I say is like I come from, if I say it, I mean it, right? I don't pretend to be some know-it-all guru. I don't pretend to always have the answer. I don't talk about what I don't know about, right? I'm not fake. I'm not phony. I'm not trying to scam anybody or sell something that, you know what I mean? Like, what you see is what you get. So if I come to you with a webinar and I talk about a topic, it's something that I personally know about personally, right? Not just because I've studied it or done research on it, but also I know from my personal experience. So I can only speak from personal experience. I know a lot of coaches don't do that. A lot of coaches, they try to sound all grandiose and use big words and complicated, terminologies to confuse their clients just to, to manipulate and control them. That's not how I get out, right? It's straightforward to the point and it's raw and it's real, right? So I just want to say that. So this letting go thing is something that is definitely something that I can speak on from personal experience, okay? So, and I know it's relevant and I know it's something that people, not only do people need to hear it, but they want to hear it, whether they know it or not, right? Subconsciously, they want to hear somebody talking about, relevant topics that can actually help them move forward and become better versions of themselves, right? So having said that, we're going to go through, and you guys, those of you who have been to my webinars, you know how I do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the bullet points real quick. Okay, not real quick, but I'm going to go through the bullet points, and then we'll take them one by one, all right? So if you are somewhere where you have a pen and a pad, I encourage you to write this down, because this is not something you can use for now. You can always use this. This is something you can use for, life on end, right? So go ahead and write this down. So letting go, releasing what holds you back from becoming the best version of yourself. Number one, Tadros, what's up, man? Thank you. Welcome. So letting go, releasing what holds you back from the best version of yourself. Number one, what we're going to talk about is the introduction. We're going to talk about why letting go matters, okay? And then we're going to identify what holds you back. We're going to talk about number three, the power of mindset shifting your mindset, okay, from fixed to growth. We'll get into it. And then we'll talk about letting go of limiting beliefs. That's something that that is a common theme in a lot of my webinars, this whole limiting belief thing. We talked about that last week. And then we'll talk a bit about releasing toxic relationships and emotional baggage. We will talk about overcoming the fear of change, which is a big thing for a lot of people. And then we'll talk a little bit about practicing emotional detachment, okay? The difference between caring and over-attachment, okay? We'll go through a couple of those. And then if we have time, we'll talk about decluttering your life. But what I really want to get into is one of the last things I want to get into is building new habits for growth. Okay, I think that's more important. So we'll do building new habits for growth as number 8. And if we have time, number 9 will be decluttering your life, basically physically and mentally, getting, like a spring cleaning, basically. And we don't have to take a whole bunch of time off of that one. So let's go ahead and get started. Why letting go matters. Now, I want you guys to, before I get into this, I want you guys to sit back, all of you, and think about it for us just a second. Why does letting go matter to you? You can write it down in the comments if you want. Please do. You know, that's fine. If you don't want to write it down, you don't have to. But think about it and give me 3 reasons why you think letting go matters. Just think about it. Okay. Okay, nobody wrote any comments. You don't have to, but okay. So you thought about it, right? Why letting go matter? The importance of releasing emotional baggage, limiting beliefs, and toxic patterns. Why is that important? Well, why do you think it's important? I don't think we need to go too deep into this. We're all adults. We all have life experience. We've all been in, relationships, be it intimate relationships, be it business relationships, be it family relationships, friendships, whatever. So we understand the importance of getting out of these, sort of toxic patterns and recognizing the patterns of toxicity within relationships, because we know that will hold us back. That'll keep us trapped into it. A lot of times, if we talk about relationships, for example, a lot of times people get into a relationship, and if you want to talk about an intimate relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, let's talk about that. And it could be friendship and whatever else too, but the most common is boyfriend, girlfriend. Let's just say, or husband, wife. Let's say you deal with it before you get married. But relationships, so you'll get into a relationship with somebody, and then you realize that it's toxic, and there's a bunch of patterns that don't coincide with your core values, but you stay anyway, right? Why is it important to let that go? Because obviously it affects you. But see, a lot of times what happens is people get in relationships for all types of reasons, right? And a lot of times people don't want to be, alone. So being in a relationship, even if it's a bad one, is better than being by themselves, right? So they accept these toxic relationships or these toxic patterns. They accept this negativity that this person, or this baggage, emotional baggage that this person brings, to the table. And they don't bring anything positive. They just bring their bullshit, their drama, their negativity, their, dark light, their low frequency, right? And people go, okay, well, at least I have somebody. So what does that do? That tears at your self-esteem. That tears at your self-worth. That brings you down. That holds you right here. This is where you want to be, right? This is your goal, okay? You were on your way up there, but then you got into a situation and now you're right here. Now you're stuck. So that's why it's important. Because it will affect whether you want to believe it, admit it, accept it or not. It will affect how you think about yourself. It will start to limit you, right? And you will start to have limited beliefs about yourself. And it's not just relationships, and I'm not blaming the other person, right? If you talk about, your girlfriend or your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, or whatever, because at the end of the day, it's you. Okay, you have to make that decision yourself to say, hey, I don't want in my life, right? Does that make sense? So it's important to let go of this emotional baggage. Now, that's with other people. That's external. Okay? You can choose that. But then also, it's important, more importantly, before you get into these relationships of whatever sort, to get rid of these things that are within yourself. Your own emotional baggage, your own limiting beliefs, your own toxicity, your own negative patterns. It's important to come to grips with them, understand and accept that they exist, because they do. We are human. There's good and bad, yin and yang, right? Understand that and accept it, and know that it's okay to have negativity or to have negative parts about you, because you're human. Accept them, but then try to change them and let them go, because it will stop you. It will block you. It will blind you. And if I speak from personal experience, it will paralyze you. Okay? You will be... If you have limiting beliefs about yourself, trust me. I know what I'm talking about when I say this. It will paralyze you. You will not be able to move. And every step you move, every step you take, you'll feel like, shit, can I do that? Like you have the limiting beliefs, they grow. It's like what would you say? Like a tumor inside of you that grows and grows and grows and grows, right? So that's very important to understand and come to grips with that and then release those things. Now, how letting go leads to personal growth and fulfillment, we don't really need to go too deep into that. If you let it go, then you obviously have to fill that hole with something else, right? So if you fill it with something positive, a positive belief, positive ways, a different mindset, a way of thinking, a positive way of thinking, a more forward and building way of thinking, then you'll be more motivated, you'll be more energized, you'll be more inspired, to continue on going towards your goal of personal development, of your self-worth. So that's very important. I wrote down here a brief personal story. So, and I was going to tell a story, but you know what? I think I'll do this. And I use myself as an example. So, let's see. I'll give you one example as far as letting go and how it can limit you if you don't let it go. So my company, for example, if I had have stayed in the mental space that I was in when I first started this company, I wouldn't be sitting here right now with you. That's God's truth, right? That's just the truth as God sees it. You understand? If I'd have stayed in that mentality, because the level of doubt, the level of fear, the level of worry that I had, the lack of belief that I had, believe it or not, it was a lot greater than myself. And the funny thing about it is, we have these limiting beliefs about ourselves, but we kind of fool ourselves into thinking that we don't have them, right? So I'm a pretty confident guy. I'm a pretty, self-confident person. I know who I am, and I can stand on my own 2 feet, and I'm solid in myself, right? So I'm thinking, I got this. I'm not insecure. I'm not worried. I'm not afraid. I'm gonna just do this, right? But deep down inside my subconscious, deep down inside, there was a lot of fear. Why? Obviously, there was sort of a natural sort of uneasiness because it's something I've never done before, right? Starting this company with coaching and everything else like that. It's something that is new. And so, of course, I was afraid I wasn't really afraid to step out into the waters because I really wanted to do it, and I'm very glad that I did. But I had a lot of doubt. I had a lot of worry. I had a lot of anxiety that I didn't want to admit that I had. Because I was really like, is it going to work? What if it doesn't work? What if I don't get any clients? And then I started really going through this whole clients. I got to get the clients. I got to get money. I got to get, on the rat race and the rat chase. So that sort of had me sort of spiraling until I said, hey, let me take a step back and remember my why. Now I'm going a little off script here, but I just want to put this point out. Remembering my why. Why am I doing this? Right? What is the core reason of why I'm doing this? And that helped me, excuse me, that helped me with coming out of that fear, coming out of that anxiety, coming out of that doubt, coming out of that worry. You know what I mean? And like I said, had I not really come to myself and really focus on why I'm doing this and, knowing that this is my purpose, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So it is important to your personal growth, to your personal development, to understand these limiting beliefs, right? And get out of them. But you have to understand, you have to admit that you have them, right? Like I say, sit in it. Admit that you have it. It's okay. You have it. It's fine. But then deal with it. And we'll get into how to deal with it a little bit later. So now that we understand why it matters, let's talk about what it is. Identifying what holds you back. So I'm going to give you a quick self-reflection exercise. This is what I want you to think about while I'm going through through the course of this webinar. I want you to think about this one thing, okay? What's weighing you down? Okay, I want you to think about that throughout the course of the webinar. You don't have to write it in the comments if you don't want to, and if you do, that's fine. But I want you to really think about, if you think about it like this, let's say you have a goal, or let's say you have an idea of who you really want to be. Not just the goal as far as money and cars and all of that. I'm talking about an idea of who, the type of you that you really want to be. The best version of yourself. Let's just put it like this. The best version of yourself. Who is that person? Okay? What does that person eat? What do they drink? What do they read? Who do they associate themselves with? What do they do for a living? Where are they in life? How do they see the world? How do they view themselves? Right? That person. Right? I want you to think about that person that you want to be. Right? And then I want you to think, what is it that is weighing me down right now? What is holding me back? You don't have to tell me. I just want you to think about it. Okay? And I want you to think about that throughout the course, okay, of this webinar, because that's important. We'll get into it later on and towards the end. Okay? So, what's holding you back? Now, there's a lot of different things that people can say that are holding them back. One of the main common barriers or blockages or walls or whatever you want to call it is, like I said earlier, fear. Okay? Then you have resentment. You have guilt. A lot of times you have negative self-talk. You have doubt. You have lack of serious belief in yourself. Not just doubt, but you really have like a lack of belief in who you are, even as a person. So you have a whole host of things that are basically holding you back. Now, what you got to do is you got to recognize the signs that you need to let go. Okay? And the signs that you need to let go are these things popping up all the time. It's important that you recognize what it is. You can't fix anything unless you recognize it first. Does that make sense? So once you recognize, okay, this is the Andrew that I want to be, but I'm not him. Why? What is it that's stopping me? What's holding me back? What's, like I said earlier, what's weighing me down? Okay? It's, resentment or guilt. It's fear. It's whatever it is, right? If I recognize it and know that that's what it is, then I can deal with it. But you have to recognize the signs. So what are the signs? Well, let's say that you want to do something, and instead of, let's say you have a goal, a small goal, let's just say, and instead of saying, oh, that's the goal that I want to do, I'm going to go for it. Instead of saying, I'm going to go for it, the first thing you do is start thinking of all of the reasons why it can't be done. Well, I can't do that because you start thinking of the negatives. Well, because what if, and what happens if I, and yeah, no, I can't. That's a trigger right there. So once you get that mind frame right there, you need to recognize that as a trigger of self-doubt. Right? Does that make sense? So you go, oh, damn, why am I thinking like this? I should be thinking that's the goal. You know, I'm going to get a new job, let's just say. I'm going to change careers. Yeah, but I can't change careers, but what about the money and how am I going to do that? And what about the kids and blah, blah, blah. Now you negative self-talk. That's a trigger. Now that's a sign, okay, that you are going into negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, self-doubt. Once you catch the sign, you say, hey, why am I thinking about that? No, that's what I really want to do. I really want to change careers. I'm not going to, all of that that's negative. Even if you think it's, because a lot of times negative things, negative self-talk can mask themselves in what we would consider to be reality. Because I really do have to think about that. I really do. No, you don't. No, you don't. If it's meant for you and if it's your purpose and you really want to do it, don't worry about the how. Okay? Understand your why and go for it. Because everything that you want to do, you can do. It will come to you. The how will come to you. All those things that you worry about, it will come to you. Not going to go too far off into that, but I just want to say that. You know, and always, like I say, recognize those signs that you need to let it go. All right? So that's number 2. Now we identified what's holding us back, and I hope you still have that in your mind, what you're thinking about. We understand why letting go matters, and we understand and we identify what holds us back. If it's fear, self-doubt, lack of belief, whatever else, right? So what do we do? Once we've recognized the triggers, once we recognized, what it is that's got us, stuck on page 3, what do we do? Well, one of the things that I've learned is the power of your mindset, like mindset shifting. So I am a personal development mindset coach. That's what I do. I help my clients change their mindset. What do you mean? What are you talking about change your mindset? I'm talking about going from a fixed mindset, okay, to a growth mindset. You're not going to move an inch towards your goal or your personal development or being the better version of yourself or anything else like that unless you have a growth mindset. I cannot stress that enough. Growth mindset. Fixed mindset. Okay, fixed mindset. Well, like we said earlier, I want to change my career. But what about this? And what about that? What about the money? What about this? And do I have to move? And blah, blah, blah. What about the kids? And blah, blah, blah. Fixed mindset, because that's the mind trying to control and make sure that everything falls into, all the puzzles fall into the place. No. Growth mindset. I want to change my career. Now, I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm no longer going to do whatever it is I'm doing, right? I'm no longer going to be, I don't know, an accountant. I want to be a chef, let's just say. I don't know how, but that's what I'm going to do. I know I got kids, I know I got a family, I got this, I got that, whatever, but that is my goal and that is what I'm going to do. That's a growth mindset. When you have that mindset and you go, okay, this is my goal and this is where I'm going for it. I'm not worried about all the logistics. I know it's going to work out somehow because this is where I'm going and this is my purpose. And I'm telling you from personal experience, right? Once you do that, once you have that mindset, things open up. I know it sounds crazy, it sounds weird, whatever, but trust me, things open up and things start happening for you in different ways. And then you start seeing other possibilities in different ways, right? And you start seeing possibilities in other forms, things that you wouldn't have seen otherwise, because you had your blinders on. But once you drop those blinders and have a growth mindset and are open and flexible to the possibilities, they come to you. Then you don't have to worry about all that control and the mind telling you, oh, what about this and that? No. So the power of your mindset shifting is very, very important. The way you think about yourself, the way you feel about your capabilities, your abilities, the way you feel about who you are and what's going on with you will always dictate how high you go. That's common sense. We know that, right? Some people may not, but we know that. And so if that's the case, why would you limit yourself? Like, why would you say, no, I'm good enough here? What do you mean? Why would you not want to go as high as you could? Does that make sense? So the power of mindset shifting is not just the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset, right? It's also reframing past failures and disappointments. Reframe it. Turn it on its head. Like I say, turn it upside down. Instead of, let's see. So what I say a lot of times to my clients when they talk about their failures, well, that didn't work out for me. Well, why didn't that work out for you? Well, this and that, and then that, that situation with the company and blah, blah, blah. Okay, instead of saying I failed, right, which is what we always say to ourselves, I failed, I fucked up, damn, I lost, I'm a loser. In Swedish, jag misslyckas. I misslyckade. Instead of saying that, say I learned. Say, okay, that didn't work out the way I planned it to. What did I learn from it? What can I take from that? So now I know what not to do the next time. Do you get what I'm saying? So instead of always looking at it from a, this is all the water I have left. No, this is all the water I have left. Instead of saying I drank this much, say I have this much left. Common sense, right? Now, trust me. Again, I'm not no guru, here to tell you everything is perfect. I do understand, and I got sense enough to know that that's easier said than done, right? Especially in everyday life, things going on. But it is a marathon, not a sprint. So you take your time with that, baby steps. But understand and keep that in the back of your mind as far as reframing your failure, your past disappointments. Those things happened not just because they happened. They happened for a reason. What is the reason? For you to learn. There's a lesson in it. There's always a lesson in it. Now, that's something that I had to learn myself when it comes to my own personal failures, when it comes to my own personal, disappointments about myself. Not just people disappointing me, but me disappointing me, right? I had to learn that there's a lesson in it somewhere. Now, we may not always see the lesson, especially in the moment, right? Well, because we're so busy wrapped up in the failure and what happened or whatever. But if you take a step back and you take some time, you take a breath, you go, okay, what happened? What did I learn? Ah, okay. Now okay, well, all right. Now I won't do that again, right? You get what I'm saying? So that's, reframing your past failures and disappointments into learning processes or learning opportunities will definitely help you move forward. Now, also, before we get off the subject of the power of mindset, the role of self-compassion in your transformation. It's very important to be kind to yourself, right? I always say, like, talk to yourself the way you would talk to a good friend, right? Talk to yourself the way you would want someone to talk to you. If you're going through something, right? Let's say you're going through something and you want your friend or your mother or your wife or your husband or whoever, you're close, whatever, you go to them for, because you're going through it and you need somebody to talk to, you need somebody to counsel or whatever. You want them to talk to you a certain kind of way, right? Well, talk to yourself that way. Stop being mean to yourself. Stop talking down to yourself. Stop talking bad to yourself. Negative self-talk will always be one of the main things that stop you from your personal growth. Because you got him sitting right here or her sitting right here on your shoulder telling you can't do it. Why should you do it? Look at you. Who do you think you are? Are you crazy? What are they going to say? This is ridiculous. You need to go back that way, right? Because that's ego. That's your ego telling you to stop going forward. Because if you go forward, then your ego dies and it knows it. And he doesn't want that to happen. That's a whole nother conversation. But you understand what I'm trying to say, right? Be kind to yourself. Self-compassion. Very important in reframing how you see yourself. All right. So let's talk about letting go of limiting beliefs. We talked about it a little bit. We talked about identifying the negative patterns, the thought patterns, and everything else like that. It's important to know when it comes. Like, what I've learned and what I've been able to do, not all the time, obviously, but what I'm working on and working towards a lot more now than before is recognizing when these negative thoughts come, recognizing the patterns when they start coming, the negative self-talk. And I go, okay, as soon as I get a negative thought, I stop. I say, okay, why am I thinking that way? Why am I thinking no instead of yes? Why am I thinking I can't when I know that I can? And then I analyze it. What's the reason that I go, oh, that's my old paradigm. That's my old way of thinking kicking in, trying to stop me from going forward because of the fear of this. The ego, again, stepping up, being afraid to step forward. You know what I mean? And that's something that's very, very important, to identify those negative thought patterns. Identify them. Okay? Because once you identify them, then you know what to do. Then you can manage it. Now, this is no cure. There's no cure for this. Okay? But you can manage it. And that's very important, to be able to manage, manage this whole thing with this, as far as the negative self-talk. Understand, though, that you can rewrite okay, so this is what I want you guys to do. Rewrite your story, right? Exercise. This is like a little bit of homework. You can do it, whenever you get home or whatever, where you got time to think about it. Rewrite your story. You can rewrite your story anytime you want. You can go from negative to positive anytime you want. It's your story. It's not my story. It's your story. You can rewrite it any way you want to. You have the power. You have the freedom. You have the choice. You have the ability to rewrite your story. You do not have to have the same negative, boring, dry, unperformative, non-productive story. This is your goal, remember? This is where you want to go, right? Well, you can get there. You can write the story that takes you there. Always think about it. How do you do that? Well, again, start with working on the negative thoughts. Start with working on being kind to yourself and talking up to yourself instead of down to yourself. Okay? So, and there's also a few, practical affirmations that you can use for self-empowerment. Things like, I know this sounds corny or it sounds, cliche to a lot of people, but when you say these things to yourself over and over, okay, think like this. If I say to you, Okay, so I'm gonna give you some like practical affirmations, self-empowering affirmations, right? I am enough just as I am, right? I'll just give you a few. I trust myself to make the best decisions for my life. I deserve love, respect, and kindness, starting with myself, right? I am proud of how far I have come and I will keep growing, right? That's just a few. There's a whole bunch, right? But I just gave you those. Now, think about it like this. When I say that to you, oh, I'm good, I am enough just as I am, and I trust myself to make the best decisions for my life, right? You would say not you, but some of you maybe, a lot of people say, oh, that just sounds cliche. That sounds corny to say that stuff to myself. That sounds ridiculous. I am enough as I am. That sounds, come on, man. Okay, well, think about it like this. Think about all the bullshit you told yourself all these years and look at the results of where you are right now in your life. You see what I'm saying? Think about all the negative shit you told yourself. You can't do it. You shouldn't do it. Stop trying so hard. Stop making waves. Stop standing out. Be in the crowd and be one of the crowd. Be gray. Don't make waves. Shh. Be quiet. Don't be confident. Right? You told yourself all your life or half your life or whatever it is, all this negative shit. And that's the result of where you are in your life today if you're not happy with who you are and what you're about. So it makes sense if that negativity is that powerful to control your life and give you negative and limiting beliefs about yourself. Doesn't it make sense that if you say something positive about yourself, that it would change that? Like, doesn't that, the other side of the coin, doesn't it make sense if you flip the coin over, that would work? Then you would feel much better about yourself. Then you would be more assertive. Then you would be more confident. Then you would be more motivated and inspired to go out and do and live and be the best version of yourself. Does that make sense? Right? So that's what I tell my clients. Always come up with, and I give them some, but I want them to come up with their own, obviously. You know, these practical, positive, and self-empowering affirmations. I am enough just as I am. I trust myself to make the best decisions for my life. The opposite you've been saying to yourself your whole life. I don't know. I don't trust myself. I don't know if I could do that. You've been saying that. So what's the worst thing that can happen if you switch it and say I trust myself instead of I don't trust myself? You've been telling yourself your whole life, I'm not enough. I got to compete. I need the new iPhone. I need to have another career. I need to have more status. I need to be prettier. I need to be richer. I need to be more successful. I need to be sexier. I need to have, I don't know, the new house, the new Volvo, whatever. I need to compete. Social media. I need to, put these, okay, you've been telling yourself all of that, right? Look where you are. What's the worst thing that can happen to you if you say the opposite? If you say to yourself, I am enough as I am, what's the worst thing that can happen? Think about and write it down in the comments. What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is you'll start to believe it. And is that so bad? The worst thing that can happen is that you'll start to believe that you're enough as you are. And you'll start to act as if you are enough as you are. And then you'll start to open up. You'll start to empty out all those negative things, all that negative shit that's in there that's holding on to you, those things that you're holding on to. You empty it out. Okay? You empty the cup. And then once the cup is empty from all that negativity, then you can start filling it, right, with positivity. Then you can start filling it with things that actually help you move forward, right? Just a tip. So, let's move forward. Releasing toxic relationships and emotional baggage. Well, we talked a little bit about that earlier, the whole relationship thing. So I don't really think I really want to go too much into that. There is a difference between healthy and toxic connections. We understand that. When it comes to trust, when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to communication, when it comes to energy, energy exchange, we understand all of that. So I don't really think we need to go too deep into that. Like I said, we talked about it earlier, allowing other people to come in and take control of your peace, allowing other people to come in and drain you of your energy, right? That's another thing as far as, we talk about working on ourselves, getting rid of our limiting beliefs, getting rid of all the things that within us that are negative that hold us back. But we also have to think that now we got to think about the outside. Who do we have around us? Who do we surround ourselves with, right? I'm very big on energy. I always have been. And I only want to surround myself with the type of people that are on the same energy as I'm on, right? People who are positive, people who are moving forward, people who want to grow, people who want to advance and, who are all and develop, all right? High frequency. I don't want to deal with any low frequency individuals. Now, I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody. And that, again, understand, that's not like I'm better than anybody or I'm, higher than, because I'm not. But you have the responsibility to protect your energy. You have a responsibility to protect your personal growth and who you are and what's going on with you. And you don't have to accept everybody in your situation. And even if you got people around you that are negative, you don't have to be around them. And then there's a lot of situations where you got people around you, they may be negative and you can't really maybe necessarily cut them out of your life. They may be people super attached to you. Old man said, somebody asked him, they said, well, what if it's somebody that I can't just get rid of like that? Because, I can get rid of these people and those people, but there's certain people I can't. He said, well, do you like this? He said, well, don't go as, what did he say? He said, don't go as often and don't stay as long. So you are in control. Just understand that you are in control. And that's when boundaries comes in. And we won't go into that, but because that's a whole nother video. And I've done one on boundaries and I'm going to do another one later. But just, think about that. Okay. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Now we're moving on. Overcoming the fear of change. Now, this is something that I know a lot of people are affected by, some more than others. Why do we cling to comfort zones? Okay. People are afraid of change because what? They're in their comfort zone. A lot of reasons. One of the reasons I think people are afraid to get out of their comfort zone or afraid of change is because they understand that change equals work, right? And they may not necessarily be ready to do the work, or they may not necessarily know exactly what it takes or what is required of them, what work they need to do in order to, succeed in making that change. And that is obviously what? Scary. It's natural and it's okay. I'm not, I don't put any judgment on that. I myself have been in that situation. In certain ways, in certain instances and situations in my life, afraid of change or fear of, stepping out and, I'm usually fearless in most ways, but there are ways that I've also been afraid of change. The comfort zone feels safe and we may not be ready or we may not think we're ready for the change because change is scary and we may not understand the dynamics of what's necessary in order to make that change come. So I think that's one of the reasons that people are afraid, but you need to overcome that fear of change. Now, how do you overcome the fear of change? Small steps, okay? What I say, small steps to embrace uncertainty. Take your time. You can't do it all at once, okay? Slow down. It is a marathon, not a sprint, okay? Trust and know that everything is as it should be and trust the process. Take it one step at a time. You're afraid to make this change. You don't know what to do. Okay, start small. Instead of making a gigantic change, start small. Start with small habits that you have right now that you can handle and you can manage and maintain. Start with the small things. Okay, and each small thing will lead up to bigger things and so on and so forth. And this goes with whatever changes you're trying to make. It doesn't matter if you're going towards a goal, if you're trying to break a habit, if you're trying to be, get in shape, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Okay, start small and think like this. What can I do today? Okay, what can I do today to get closer to my goal? Here's my goal, or here's my ideal self, the best version of myself. What can I do to get closer to that today? What things can I do? What habits can I change? What, patterns can I, undo right? Because like I said, you can't do it all at once, and it is a marathon. It takes time, all right? What can I do today to get closer to that goal? Now, I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys are following me on that. I got 2 more points here. Let's see, practical, and yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We won't do that. We'll do number 7. Okay, so practicing emotional detachment. Now, this is what we talk about. We talk about letting go. Remember, talking about letting go of things that are holding us back, that keep us from getting to the best versions of ourselves. Now, we talked about overcoming fear of change. We talked about releasing toxic relationships. We talked about letting go of those limiting beliefs. Okay, we talked about shifting our mindset. Okay, and we also were able to identify what's holding us back. I hope you're still thinking about what it is that's holding you back right now. And we also talked about why letting go matters. Okay, so we're all about letting go. Okay, so let's practice emotional detachment, emotionally letting go. So this is for not necessarily how we deal with ourselves internally, us. This is more how we deal with things with people that we love, our loved ones, okay, those on the outside. So there's a balance that is necessary between caring and over-attachment, okay? I'll give you a couple examples. Giving support versus losing yourself, okay? Giving support. Giving support means you support your loved ones while they're, taking care, while taking care of your own needs, okay? You can support somebody. You can be right there for them. You can, hey, I got you. I root for you, this and that. But at the same time, you're taking care of your own situation. You don't overfill or overpour from your emotional cup. Does that make sense? That's a boundary thing, okay? So, over attachment means that you sacrifice yourself and your happiness and your needs and goals to keep them happy, even at your own expense. So that's the opposite. And that's what we don't want to do. That's what we want to let go of, because that will stop us. That will paralyze us. That will keep us, emotionally bankrupt, pretty much. Another example can be, being there versus being overly dependent. Or you know what? I think I like this one better. Supporting growth versus controlling behavior. Another thing to learn how to let go of, right? Caring, supporting growth. Okay, I support your growth. I engage in your personal growth, even if you change in a way that I may not expect. But I'm rooting for you. I'm there for you. Like I said, I'm there for you. I'm taking care of my own. I'm filling from my own cup. Keep my own cup full. But I'm there for you, and I support your growth. Now, the opposite of that, the controlling behavior, means I feel threatened by your growth. I try to keep you from changing because I want to maintain my own sense of security, or I feel like you may outgrow me, right? Those sort of manipulative ways of thinking, those are things that we need to understand how to let go of. Those are things that are stopping us from getting better and becoming better versions of ourselves. So instead of that, we allow our friends and our people, our loved ones, to grow and maintain our support for them, even if they change in ways that we may not expect. Okay? Again, all of this stuff I'm saying is easier said than done, and it takes time. I'll keep saying this throughout the whole webinar. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not going to happen today, tomorrow, right? But take it piece by piece, little by little, and like I say, small patterns, small habits, work your way up, all right? Now, the last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here is building new habits for growth. Okay, I don't really think we need to go through the decluttering your life thing. We'll do that another time. But creating a new narrative for yourself, okay? I said this earlier, I'll say it again. You can write your own story. You can change the narrative from negative to positive anytime you want. Remember, it's you that can choose. No one else has control. You have control of your own story. Okay, so building new habits for growth. What new habits are we talking about for growth? Now that we've learned how to let go of a lot of the toxic things and the negative things and the beliefs and all this stuff, what can we fill that with? Instead of having that negative, what can we have as positive? What habits are we talking about? Well, I would say all rituals that would reinforce positivity. Okay, anything that reinforces, that breeds, that brings about positivity. One thing that I am big on and that works for me is gratitude. Okay, and I'm not talking about I woke up this morning, I'm happy to. No, I'm talking about deeper than just being happy that I have. Well, of course, I'm happy with the relationship with my wife. I love my wife. We have a great relationship, and I'm very grateful for that. But or health of my children or whatever, right? Maybe you have a great job, whatever. But when I say gratitude, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about deeper than that. Okay, I'm grateful for the fact that I am able to be in the position that I'm in to help as many people as I'm helping. Okay, I'm grateful for the fact that I've actually been able to do the work necessary, okay, on myself and become the version of myself that I am becoming. I'm grateful for my setbacks. I'm grateful for the things that about me that I've been able to see over the years that I need to change. Right? Those are negative things, bad things, but I'm grateful for them. See, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about gratitude. You got to get deep into it, right? Be grateful for those things. So gratitude is definitely something that will help you build new habits for growth. This will definitely help you let go of some of those negative things because you'll be grateful. You'll be so busy being grateful for, things that have helped you change and become a better version of yourself that you won't even be thinking about all that negative shit. Okay, so that's number one. And then, of course, number two, a new habit for building growth is reframing the negatives. We talked about that earlier. Turning them upside down. Instead of saying I always fail, you say I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? Like always use the opposite of the negative. That's number two. Number three, it's okay to feel down. Okay, but don't stay there. So one thing for building a new habit of growth is understanding that it's okay to be down. You are going to have down times, negative times, bad things, setbacks, failures, whatever. It's going to happen. Accept it. Accept how it makes you feel, right? When you have a failure or you made a mistake or something happens or whatever. Okay, that happened. But accept also, sit in what they say, sit in the fire. Sit in it and how does it make you feel? I feel down today. I feel negative. I don't feel as positive about myself as I should today. I feel, like a failure or whatever. That's fine. That's okay. I'm not saying you're not supposed to feel like a failure. It's okay to feel like a failure because it happens. But you can't stay there. So what do? You give it a checkout time. I tell my clients all the time, give your negative feelings a checkout time. Just like when you go to the hotel, you go to, I don't know, a 4-day weekend, long weekend somewhere, Spain, Greece, wherever. And you stay at a 5-star hotel. Beautiful hotel. It's beautiful food, scenery, all that. It's a beautiful thing, right? But you can only stay there for 4 days, right? So at 12 o'clock on Sunday, let's just say, it's checkout time. So no matter what, you got to be out of that hotel room at 12 o'clock, right? Same thing with the negative feelings. The same thing with the negative, the doubts, the fears, the feelings of inadequacy and failure and all these things that bring you frustration and anxiety. It's okay. I'm frustrated. You know what? The other day, I was going through something and I was feeling kind of frustrated. I was feeling kind of down. I was feeling kind of out of it. Right? It's okay. I say, hey, I'm not feeling too groovy. You understand? I'm not feeling too groovy about myself right now. I'm going through this fear of, when and how and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I breathe. Then I go into gratitude mode. Like I said, you give it a checkout time. You have that moment with day or whatever it is, hour or whatever it is. And how do you get out of that? You go into gratitude mode. Then you start to think, okay, where am I? I did fail. I do feel bad about this. I do feel this way about myself, blah, blah, blah. But where am I now? What do I have to be grateful for? Where am I? Where's my gratitude meter? Okay. And then once you start thinking about your gratitude, once you start being grateful, once you start thinking about what you do have and the positives, then you can slowly come out of that frustration. You can slowly come out of that feeling sorry for yourself. You can slowly come out of that, feelings of failure, of inadequacy, and so on and so forth, right? Now, again, I say it again, I said it again, I'll say it again. It is a marathon, not a sprint. So don't be in a hurry. But do understand that it does take time, and the more you practice, the more you go at it, the better off and the easier and the quicker, or the easier it'll be for you. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So now we are at the end of the webinar. I want to thank you guys for joining me. I really, really enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Like my wife always said, I'm like a little kid when it comes to these webinars. I love doing these things, man. It's so much fun. So, let's see who we have here. Those of you that have seen this webinar, and I'll leave it up on the Facebook group. If you're interested and you want to know more about my coaching, right? Here's the sales pitch. If you're interested and you want to know more about my coaching, what I do, what the programs are, how much they cost, how long are they, what do you get, and everything else like that, then send me an email, right? levelupcc065@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram or message me on Facebook. So what happens is you message me, we conversate, we set up a time, and then we do a free, what I call discovery call. This is basically you telling me, what your goals are, your challenges, your setbacks, what it is you really want to do, and who it is you really want to be, and where it is you really want to go, and everything else like that, right? And then I tell you how I do what I do for you, how I can help you, and everything that entails, right? Then we see if we're a match, right? If we're a match, we go forward. We take it from there. If not, no harm, no foul. We keep it moving, right? So go ahead and book a time with me anytime you want, and let's go ahead and get you started on your personal journey to personal development. All right. So feel free to DM me and book a time with me. We can talk. I usually use WhatsApp because I like to do the face-to-face thing. If you live in Stockholm, then we can meet face-to-face with coaching. Right. We can meet in physical person once we start doing the coaching programs, if that's something that you want to do. But before that, let's go ahead and get in that initial call going where we can actually conversate and figure out what it is you need to do in order for you to get to be the best version of yourself. All right. You guys take care of yourselves. Thank you for the evening. I really enjoyed myself. Feel free to leave a comment and tell me, what you got out of this. I really appreciate it. And until next time, every Thursday at 7 p.m. right here on Level Up Group, Facebook Live, I will be doing my webinars. Okay? So you guys stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next week.